Wait. Okay. Ready?
Okay. So we would like to talk to you.
Can I please start again? Please speak very loud, all of you.
We would like to talk to you about the Tanzania Socialist Forum. And I know both of you are members of it. That is Monika Shank and Christina Mfangwa. So we're very pleased that you talk to us today about your contribution to the Connections workshop here. But first of all, we thought we would like to know a little bit about the Tanzania Socialist Forum. When was it set up? Perhaps you would like to tell us when it was set up?
Sure. The Tanzania Socialist Forum, or Jukwaa la Wajama Tanzania, it's about a year and a half old, so it's still quite young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It started basically as a group of youth coming together, wanting to be convinced of the form of organizational, the importance of organizational forms of struggle, and so coming together, the core group of maybe 8 or 10 people, youth coming together, educating ourselves. We hold ideological classes every Saturday. So we read and come together and discuss. But we're convinced that education is not just about reading and discussing. So we also go visit grassroots organizations to learn about real concrete struggles on the ground. Watching films, things like this, talking about music, art and struggle, things like that.
So you have a very wide agenda then. Yes, and it straddles both the ideas and the action there. Yes, I see. And when you say it's young people, is it perhaps young people from the university, or is it young people in general?
I would say it's currently involving young people in general, although the idea before came from the young people, I would say, from the university setting mainly. Currently, we're involved with the young people from the secondary student, from the Tanzanian Students Networking Program. We also, from the grassroots we visit, so we also have the group of young people from outside the university, outside this schooling system, which now includes the components of not only young people, but the rest of the members of the community in those grassroots.
So you are building on organizations that already exist, smaller ones perhaps, big ones maybe, who are working in this field and who see themselves as socialist, yes? Or maybe not. I mean, where does that come in? I'm interested in your title. What makes you call yourself socialist?
So actually the idea of the forum itself is to build an alternative community of the socialists, I would say. So some of the comrades had these socialist ideas, I would say, since the inception of the forum. Some of them got it through the education we do on every Saturday during the ideological classes and all the learning sessions we do with the grassroots. And then when we continue educating ourselves about socialism, its values, principles, and the kind of alternative society that we want to build. So I would say generally the title reflects everything that we do, because the main objective or agenda of the forum itself is to fight against imperialism and all the exploitative system related to it.
I see. Okay. So if you came to this workshop then with that kind of background now, your new organization, what were you expecting from the workshop? What made you come to it?
Well, personally, when I got the invitation of ROAPE, actually I got it from the Kigoda about the forum, and the idea I had.
What is the Kigoda?
The Mwalimu Nyerere Festival.
Oh, yes. Marjorie Bellini explained this word Kigoda to me, but I didn't know what it meant.
So the first idea I got that it's a space for the leftists to come and discuss the agendas, actually the left agendas, and how we can move on the struggle in the socialist society. So that was the idea I got, although with that perception of the workshop including some people special from the grassroots, because at least that's how the Tanzanian Socialist Forum is used to be working with. So, but I faced a different experience, I would say, after having seen that the workshop is so much of the intellectuals in a way, especially.
I was going to ask you that. Do you feel there isn't enough representation of grassroots?
Sure, I would
Or
say
perhaps
that.
it isn't accessible enough to grassroots?
Sure, I would say that.
Yes.
I think there's definitely a tension. This group of activist intellectuals, it offers a very dynamic view of kind of macro analysis of issues, of really big issues from people looking from very different vantage points globally.
Yes.
So that's powerful.
Yes.
That's not accessible to grassroots organizers. And so I'm not sure how possible it is to have both together in one space. Language, English versus Swahili versus whatever language is one issue, as well as language in terms of theoretical discourse versus more grounded, concrete, everyday experience sort of language. So that's certainly a tension. I think the conversations in these past 2 days have been very, very rich on an analytical, theoretical level, and I think it's up to each one of us to seek out how we implement, what do we do with all of that. I do think there's a certain amount of irony of having this extensive amount of conversations about class and class analysis and the role of which classes in what ways in revolutionary transformation, when I think a lot of us agree that the real engine of societal transformation has to come from the working classes and peasant classes and classes that have not been represented here.
You mean represented in
Here
the workshop?
Here at the workshop. And so theorizing about how these transformations can come about, certainly intellectuals, and I think we all have many hats, we aren't just intellectuals, of course.
What kind of people should we have brought here that are not here then? I mean, maybe there
What
are
about
people
factory
missing.
workers? What about small-scale farmers?
Yes.
But this space is not accessible
No.
to them.
And the language is not accessible. I did think maybe the organisers locally might have been doing translation from Swahili. But I can see that would have been a problem as well. In terms of the time it would have taken, we would have needed 4 days, not 2. But
Language
once you
Swahili
concede that,
is
there
one thing, but I do think
immediately.
the academic discourse,
Yes,
even
exactly.
if we translate it into
Yes,
Swahili, I think
absolutely.
there's still a level of inaccessibility.
Yes, yes, very much. Yes. So, well, all right then, let's be more positive. Let's end on a more positive note. What do you think are the most exciting things that have been discussed here?
I think today's session was so exciting, at least for me.
This
because-
morning. Can you say what it was? Because afterwards,
Yeah, because
we would need to know.
we got that space to discuss about the real experiences we get from the grassroots,
Yes.
at least from today's topic. So we got that from the presentation, but also from the contribution of the people. So for me, that was also exciting. And through that, of course, I saw at least the positive side of the workshop, that even though we didn't have the people, I mean the real grassroots people, like that section of the working class, but at least there was some people from those who organize from the grassroots. So at least this could serve as a link. So
and who may have come from the grassroots, that's my impression.
yes.
They have risen up from, anyway, they have transformed themselves to become organisers. But they didn't start off as being petty bourgeois intellectuals. That's my impression, anyway, that some of them this morning came from a different background.
Sure, so that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the positive side of the workshop. That is also because I understand the nature of the way the workshop was designed, like what my comrade said, it wouldn't have provided conducive environment for those people from the grass to come and participate. But the fact that those who were organized from them were invited, for me, it's a positive thing about the workshop. And the whole of today's discussion for me was very brilliant. I loved it.
Yes, it was very provocative and challenging. What about you? Was there anything else you wanted to add that you found
Yeah, I think
particularly
there's a
exciting?
lot of power in just bringing these strugglers, these participants in leftist struggle together in one place to share experiences as well as theoretical perspectives, etc., but experiences in struggle. I think there's such vast experience and knowledge available in this relatively small group of people that mining each other's experiences and finding an amazing history.
Yes, exactly.
An amazing
Very
history. So I
notable.
think these friendships and comradeships that have formed these past 2 days, I think that certainly a lot of them will extend even decades into the future, and we don't know what forms of organizing will come out of those connections in the future.
And just one last question then. Did you think there was any differences between this workshop and other workshops and conferences that you have been to before?
I was actually saying to Tina this morning that I've never been in a workshop like this in my life.
So tell us, what's different?
I've been to a lot of academic conferences,
Yes.
which generally bring together people in one sort of academic discipline as opposed to one sort of or ideological orientation. So that's a huge difference right there. I've been to more practitioner-based workshops, which are much more grounded in practice. But this has been a unique experience for me in terms of a pretty academic space, which has been fairly ideologically clear. Of course, we aren't ideologically completely homogenous either, but we have shared issues that we're interested in teasing out. So for me, that has been very, very interesting, certainly.
Is there anything you want to add to that in terms of?
I think she's just spoken almost everything. That of course, at least also for me, with the few academic workshops I've attended, I think for me this didn't have that much difference because we're used to this kind of academic workshops where you find scholars with the same kind of theorizing, talking of those big and huge theories that at times, if you come from that grassroots level, you think this is a bit complicated. So as for me, with regard to the academic workshops I've attended, I don't think it has that big difference, of course, aside from what Monika has said, that ideological.
I mean, certainly some of the feminist initiatives in Tanzania have been using this kind of bringing together people of different levels and trying to find a language in which to communicate. So I think that really was very notable here, cross-generationally, between genders, and of course between different ideological positions. There is a debate, there is a real debate, and you got that sense, yes? Yeah. Well, okay, so can I thank both Christina and Monika for helping to us to understand their contribution and our contribution to this event, which we hope will go on and produce more such events.
Thank you.
I don't know how long that will